Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is a story about what if Izuku Midoriya dated Mount Lady Part 1. If you guys enjoy this what if and want to see Part 2, comment down below and let me know before I start. Please do support for more awesome content and leave a like, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel and also share this video with your friends and check out the description in my playlist. The author of the story, SmashedHD from Wattpad. So let's start the video. Mount Lady, you were excellent. 𝗵𝐲 said. Mount Lady restrained the villain and looked at 𝗵𝐲 and smiled. You did great too. Although they kept it a secret from the public, everyone knew Mount Lady and 𝗵𝐲 were dating. Hey, do you want to go to the festival tonight? 𝗵𝐲 whispered into Mount Lady's ear. She simply nodded at that idea. Time skip. The festival. Yu Takeyama and Shinji Nishiha met up at the festival, both exhausted from their hero work. Yu rested her head on Shinji's shoulder. Shinji only kissed her on the forehead. The two walked around for a bit until Shinji needed to go to the bathroom. As he was gone, Yu walked around but was suddenly grabbed by someone who covered her mouth. The person then injected her with a needle with an unknown liquid. Shinji came back only to see his girlfriend, who was being pulled into an alleyway by a thug. Her mouth had been covered with tape. Let her go, he said. Yu was crying. Hey man, I just injected her with an anti-quirk drug so I could kill her right now, so why don't you be a good little boy and leave? After all, with a body like hers, I'm gonna have a lot of fun tonight, he said, pulling a knife to her throat while 𝗔𝗂𝗁𝐺 her body. Yu was signaling Shinji to use his quirk. But he couldn't. It wasn't that he wasn't able, but rather if he used it, the crowd that gathered would know he was 𝗵𝐲. So he didn't. He kept his identity a secret. Yu realized this and only cried more. But her muffled screams got out to no one. Or at least she thought. One moment she was being dragged into an alleyway. The next, a greenette boy had knocked the thug out. Yu collapsed out of fear. She looked up at the boy. Are you okay? Are you hurt? He said, kneeling down. No, I'm fine, thank you so much, she said, hugging the boy. Thank God you're okay, Shinji called out. She turned around and looked at him in disgust. I was about to be raped and killed, and all you thought about was your secret identity, she said, slapping him on the face so hard it left a red handprint. You and me are over, you coward, she said with tears of anger streaming down her face. The green-haired boy then walked out of the alleyway with Yu clinging onto him. Hey, what's your name? Yu asked. Izuku Midoriya, he said. Well, thank you, Midoriya. I don't know what I would have done if you hadn't shown up. I was so scared I couldn't do anything, she said, shaking as she said that. No problem, it's a hero's job to save people, right? He said with a smile. No, not all heroes think like that, she said, remembering what Shinji did. Well, real heroes do anyway, he said with a smile that was brighter than the sun. Oh, by the way, what's your name? He asked. You only giggled at that. It's Yu Takeyama, she said with a smile. So, Ms. Takeyama, will I call you a taxi? He said. No. I mean no, I don't live too far from here, so if you could you maybe perhaps want to walk me home? She said that last part too quietly so Izuku didn't hear it. I'm sorry, I didn't hear that, he said. Nothing. I'll walk home myself, she said as she began to run home. Izuku then grabbed her hand. I'm sorry, but I can't allow that. I'll walk you home, he said boldly. Yu blushed hard and only nodded while looking away. As the two walked together, they talked about what they liked, but Izuku then brought up what happened earlier. By the way, who was that earlier? Izuku asked. He was my boyfriend, 𝗵𝐲. 𝗵𝐲. His quirk would have been perfect in that situation. Izuku said, yeah, but he didn't because he didn't want his identity revealed. That son of a bitch, Izuku said. Izuku then apologized for bringing that up, but you said it wasn't his fault. Then they both reached their destination. Wait, you live here too? Izuku said. You said, I live here in this apartment too, room 202, Izuku said. I live in room 203, you said, so that means we're right next to each other, Izuku said with a blush. Yeah, I guess, you said, also with a blush. When the two reached the rooms, you turned to him while rubbing her legs together in embarrassment. Hey, I don't suppose you'd want to come in for a... Izuku's phone began to ring. He answered. Oh, sorry, I gotta take this, he said. Oh, hey babe, he said. You only looked down at the floor. She then entered her room and didn't say goodbye to Izuku. "Oh, where am I?" "I'm at my apartment," Izuku said. "Oh, you're coming over. Okay, I'll see you." Izuku said he hung up, but when he turned around you wasn't there. Time skip. 10 minutes. Izuku's girlfriend arrived. It was Ochiko Uraraka. She saw Izuku standing outside his room. "Oh hey Ochiko," he said. "I didn't come here to chit-chat." She said. Izuku was shocked but didn't respond. "I came here to tell you we're breaking up." "You're not good enough," she said coldly. Izuku was speechless. He couldn't say anything. Tears only went down his face. Uraraka then turned around and walked off. Izuku sat down crying at what just happened. How was he not good enough? He thought. When suddenly the door next to him opened. "Oi, did you hear that?" He said. "Yes, sorry." You said, "No, it's my fault, I wasn't good enough for her." Izuku said, "You're not good enough. Don't make me laugh. You were the only one brave enough to save me tonight when no one else would. If anything, she doesn't deserve someone like you." You said. Izuku wiped the tears from his face but still was sad. "If you ever want to talk, I'll be next door." You said with a smile. She then closed the door. Izuku still sat outside his door and smiled. "God, I'm pathetic. She nearly got assaulted and raped tonight and she's helping me. I'll have to thank her later," Izuku thought as he smiled. Izuku woke up the next day. He had cooked himself a breakfast since he lived on his own. When he finished, he got ready for school and left his apartment but was greeted by Yu. "Good morning, Ms. Takeyama," Izuku said, surprised. "Oh, please call me Yu. Ms. Takeyama makes me sound like an old lady." You said. "Oh, okay," he said embarrassingly. You beamed at that. "Hey, you still okay?" She said. "I mean no, but I feel even worse by the fact that you're asking me if I'm okay despite what happened yesterday." Izuku said. "Pph, don't worry about, I've had my fair share of dangerous encounters before, besides dumping someone feels better than being dumped." You said. Izuku only looked at her but gave no response. "I know it's hard to move on but you gotta try," you said as she took Izuku's phone. "Say cheese," she said as she took a selfie together. "There, now you have a picture of another girl on your phone," you said. Izuku smiled. "Thanks you, this'll help a lot." You smiled and waved him goodbye. Time skip. Arrival at UA. Izuku walked into class 1A. He was pretty much the last student to enter, so everyone else was before him, but to his surprise he saw Uraraka was clinging to Todoroki. Everyone in class was expecting him to walk out of class, but he sat down in his seat like nothing happened. Ida then approached him. "Hey Midoriya, are you?" but was cut off by Izuku. "Oh, sorry for being late, Ida. Some stuff came up," Izuku said. Ida was stunned by Izuku's behavior. Ida thought Izuku would be devastated after his breakup. But it seemed to him Izuku had already moved on. Ida smiled and walked over to his seat. Why isn't he angry? Uraraka thought, still clinging to Todoroki. Time skip. Lunch break. Izuku was sitting in the canteen eating his lunch while on his phone when Kirishima approached him. "Hey bro, you sure move on?" Kirishima said with a smirk. Izuku looked up at him. "Well, it's not that I've moved on, it's just someone helped me when I was down." "Oh, well that's good for you, man," Kirishima said. Izuku then continued his lunch. What's wrong with him? Has he moved on already? Uraraka thought furiously. Time skip. After school, Izuku walked home after school finished. When he reached his apartment, he saw a man banging on Yu's door. "You please open the door, what happened was a misunderstanding, I love you," he said as he was banging on the door. "Leave me alone, you coward," Yu yelled in her room. "You please," Shinji said, "F off." You said. Shinji stormed off and walked past Izuku. Izuku then knocked on Yu's door. The door then swung open. "I said F off," you said as she punched Izuku in the face. Izuku then fell to the ground. "Oh my god. Sorry Izuku, I thought you were someone else," you said after realizing who she hit. "No, it's fine," Izuku said, covering his nose to stop it from bleeding. "It's not fine, here I'll get some tissues," you said as she ran inside her apartment. A few minutes later she came out with a box of tissues. Izuku covered his face with the tissues while Yu frantically apologized. "You, it's fine, seriously. But are you okay?" You looked away for a second but looked back at Izuku. Yeah, I'm fine, that was just my ex. Izuku then stood up. Hey, as a thank you for yesterday, do wanna go to the movies or something this weekend? Sure, I'd love to. It would really take my mind off things, you said. Time skip. The weekend Izuku was waiting at the movies for you. Oh hey Deku, a voice called out. It was Uraraka. Oh hey. Izuku said, what are doing here by yourself? She asked, just waiting for someone. Izuku said, oh really? Who are? Why do you care? You said I wasn't good enough. So just leave already. Izuku said. Deku hey Midoriya. You called out while waving at him. Oh hey you. Izuku called out. Who's this? You asked. This is Uraraka, my ex. Uraraka the walked off without greeting you. The beach. What is wrong with him, she thought. Izuku shrugged it off and walked into the movies with you. The two enjoyed the movie while watching it. However, near the end of the movie, the man and woman in the movie were talking in the middle of the street in the rain. Don't you know that I love you? The man said, I do, and I'd want to spend the rest of my life with you. The woman said. As that scene happened, you put her hand on the arm rested, but her hand landed on Izuku's hand. She pulled away and so did Izuku. They looked into each other's eyes. Izuku was gazing into her purple eyes. And Yu was staying into his emerald eyes. The two were slowly drifting closer together until a gunshot had fired from the movie. The two opened their eyes and a huge blush flushed across both their faces when they realized what was about to happen. When the movie finished, not a word was spoken. They walked out of the movies and then Izuku broke the silence. So yeah, I'm gonna head home now, he said, trying his best not to stutter. Right, I'm gonna do the same. You said, forgetting they live in the same apartment building. The two walked home together, still in an awkward silence. As they reached their apartment room, you spoke up. Hey, I had fun tonight, she said with a huge blush. Oh, same here. Izuku said. The two then entered their own rooms. As the door closed, the two both collapsed on their beds from embarrassment. What the hell was that? I had fun tonight? Now he's gonna get the wrong idea. He probably thinks I'm a creep now. You said, hiding her face in her knees. Well, it's not like I didn't enjoy it, she said. She then screaming into her pillow from embarrassment. However, Izuku also had the same thought process. Oh my god, what the hell was that? Oh, same here. She probably hates me now. I should apologize. No, I should give her personal space. No, that would make it seem like I'm avoiding her. Yeah. What do I do? He said. The next day, Izuku left to go to school. As he left his room, he met you leaving her room. A bombardment of thoughts started to swell his brain. Before he could even think of what to say, you turned toward him. Right at that moment, Izuku kind of panicked and walked away quickly. As Izuku walked off, he kept thinking on how he acted. Why did I walk away? I mean, she probably hates me now, so I'll save her the bother of even seeing me. Izuku thought. However, Yu was still outside her apartment door but was sitting on the floor, covering her face with her hands. He hates me now. I knew it. He now thinks I'm that type of woman. You thought. Yu then walked out of the apartment building and to her 𝐒𝐭𝐲 agency. When she arrived, she got changed into her hero outfit in the changing rooms and got ready for hero patrol. Oh hey Mount Lady. We've been assigned for a patrol together, 𝐒𝐭𝐲 called out. Pass, you said. But it's my agency, I've already made the decision, 𝐒𝐭𝐲 said. Fine. You said. 𝐒𝐭𝐲 was delighted, however you couldn't have been more agitated. As they patrolled around the area, you saw a UA student being grabbed by the shirt collar. It was a certain Greenette. What did I say, Deku? You're just a worthless piece of human garbage. You can't even fight back. Bakugo yelled. Kaken, please. We're not allowed to use our quirks until we get hero licenses. Izuku said, covering his face from attacks. TCH, pathetic Deku. No wonder Uraraka left you. You won't even be able to even survive the sports festival, so don't bother going. Bakugo said, kicking Izuku in the ribs, which made Izuku fall to the floor. Hey, what are you doing? You called out. Nothing of your concern, Bakugo said. 𝐒𝐭𝐲 then restrained Bakugo with his quirk so he wouldn't try to escape. What the F do you think you're doing? Bakugo said. We'll have to report this to your school and tell them what you did. 𝐒𝐭𝐲 said. 𝐒𝐭𝐲 took Bakugo away with him. As they left, Izuku tried to get up, but you stopped him. Hey, stop. You need medical attention. Izuku looked up at you. It was only then she noticed his cut across his nose. His bruise that was covering his eye and his throat that had been singed by Bakugo's quirk. It's fine. I need to get to school. Recovery girl can patch me up. Izuku said. Fine, but I'll take you there. She carried him on her back with his head resting in her shoulder. You started walking and then suddenly asked, hey, might I ask, but what happened back there? Oh, that. Well, it's all my fault really, because I left my apartment in a rush this morning. I ran into Kaken, who I usually avoid, but I wasn't think, so I ended up meeting him. Izuku said. Well, what he did was unacceptable. I mean, how could he do that to a fellow classmate? You said angrily. Well, no one in my class really cares about me. It's not like they hate me, it's just I'm seen as dangerous due to my quirks, so people only talk to me during lunch. Besides, no one care about me anyway. My mom doesn't come home most nights to avoid me. My girlfriend dumped me because I wasn't good enough, and my neighbor probably hates me now. Izuku said. Why would that neighbor hate you? You said, intrigued at the fact that Izuku didn't know you was Mount Lady. Well, I did something really embarrassing, and the next morning I ran away because I was embarrassed, and that what led to this happening. She was one person that seemed to actually like me as a person, but now she probably hates me now. I don't hate you, you thought. I'm sure she doesn't hate you. Why would she hate someone like you? Just talk to her again, and I'm sure you two will be on good terms again. You said. Really? Izuku said, of course. I'm sure she feels the same way, you said. They soon arrived at UA, and Izuku got the day off due him being exhausted from Recovery Girl's quirk. He then went home and met Yu waiting outside her apartment. Hey, Yu. Izuku called out. Oh, hey, Izuku. She was glad at how he followed her advice. So how was school? She asked. Oh, something came up, so I got let off early, Izuku said. You didn't bother asking why. So, Izuku, do you want to hang out this weekend? Yu asked. Sorry, I'm busy, maybe next time. Izuku said. He opened the door to his apartment and met his mother by the door. She looked at him with a menacing glare. Oh, hey, Mom, you're home early. Izuku said. She walked towards and slapped him across the face. He stumbled to the floor. What the F are you doing here? You should be at school. 𝗏𝗏 said. She was drunk again. Not that she was ever sober these days. I got let off early. Izuku said, liar. You are only becoming a hero because of the pay. I'll be loaded with money if you become a pro hero. You know you owe me this. After all, you were born quirkless, which made you father leave me. And 10 years later you finally have a quirk. So now you're gonna send me all the money you receive, got it? Yes, ma'am, Izuku said. Unfortunately for 𝗏𝗏, Izuku didn't fully close the door, which led to you hearing everything. And what the hell do you think you're doing? You asked. 𝗏𝗏 turned towards you. And who the F are you? She said. That doesn't matter. What does matter is how you're using your son for your own gain. You said. He's my son L. I can raise him any goddamn way I want. 𝗏𝗏 said. 𝗏𝗏 then took a swing at you, but you dodged her hand and grabbed it, put her leg in front of 𝗏𝗏's and tripped her and restrained her by keeping her hands behind her back. Hey, you stop, Izuku called out. No, Izuku, you're not in the wrong here. You shouldn't have to work for your dream and have someone else leeching off of you like a goddamn parasite. You should only support those who have supported you. You said. You bitch, don't take my lottery ticket away from me. 𝗏𝗏 said. You see. She not even calling you her son anymore. You said. You then turned towards 𝗏𝗏. Oh, don't worry, I already called child services to take you away. I doubt you'll see you soon again. You said. A few minutes after the police arrived to take 𝗏𝗏 away. Izuku started crying. Hey, Izuku, it's all right, it's not your fault. You said. It's not that. Now that mom is gone, I'm gonna get kicked out because I can't pay the rent. He said, wiping the tears. Hey, you wouldn't want to live in with me, would you? You asked. Izuku said. I mean, if you don't want to, that's fine. I'm just saying it'd be easier, because you wouldn't have to change your route to school, you said. Are you sure? I mean, I don't want to intrude. Oh, it's okay, you can get your stuff and move in now. Izuku smiled and went into his apartment and gathered his things. While he was doing that, a sudden thought hit you like a freight train. "Oh no, my apartment is a mess." As Izuku waited outside her apartment door. Yu had closed the door after Izuku went to pack his things. So he kept thinking, was she joking or what? Little did he know Yu was cramming her wardrobes full of rubbish and sweeping everything under the rug in bed. "Right, that doesn't look that bad," she said, oozing with confidence. She opened the door and greeted Izuku. "Sorry Izuku, I was busy freeing up space in the spare room." She lied, however. The minute Izuku entered, Yu's confidence was shattered in a matter of minutes. Looking back, Yu did not do a good enough job, as she thought, as you could see dirt everywhere and there was still a few fast food boxes around the place. She just hoped that Izuku didn't notice. "Well Izuku, the room is down the hall. You can set up there," Yu said, pointing in the direction. Izuku walked down the hall and dropped his stuff on the floor. He then walked out back in the living room where Yu was, and he was cleaning up. She then looked up and blushed from embarrassment. "Sorry about the mess. I don't usually have time to cook, so I usually order from fast food restaurants," she said. Izuku then started to clean up with her. He began to open up a wardrobe when he was suddenly crushed with bags of trash. He then looked at Yu. She was clearly embarrassed, so much so she could die of embarrassment. He sighed and said, "You don't have to pretend that you're perfect. No one can manage to be working all day and keep their home clean and cook meals every day. It's impossible, so I'll help clean up with this, okay?" Yu only nodded while staring at Izuku. She was shocked at the fact that he was acting so normal at cleaning her room. After they cleaned the place, Izuku headed to the kitchen. He opened the fridge and saw very little food. He then opened the apartment door and Yu asked him what he was doing. "Oh, I'm just gonna go shopping for some stuff. I'll be right back." As he left, Yu then fell back on the couch. That was so embarrassing. Does he know I've never had anyone over? I mean, I never even let Shinji in here. He only knows where I live because he's only dropped me home a few times. Yu thought. Her face then went bright red when she realized Izuku was the first guy that had been in her apartment. Minutes later, Izuku came back with 2 bags full of stuff. "Hey, what you got there?" Yu asked. "I bought some ingredients for some food," Izuku said, lifting the bags. He began cooking, and when he finished he put it on the table. "Sorry, this is I get at the store, so I decided to make omurice," he said. "You took a bite out of it." "Oh my god Izuku, this is incredible. Where'd you learn to cook like that?" she asked. Well, my mom rarely came home, so I taught myself." Izuku said. Yu looked away for a second, as it had become quite awkward now. She then asked him, "Got anything happening in UA?" "Well, we have a sports festival coming up." Izuku said, "Oh, I hope you win in first place." Yu said, "Nah, I won't. I mean, everyone in school is so much better than me. I'm just someone who breaks his bones when I use my quirk. I don't stand a chance." Izuku said, "Well, if you keep acting like that, you'll definitely lose. Listen, Izuku, you need to have more confidence in yourself, like your quirk breaks your bones, right? So what if you hold back a little? Only use a small percentage of your quirk until you can MSTR it." Yu said, "So promise me you'll win the sports festival." She said, "Yeah, I'll promise." He said, smiling, but he was mainly surprised. Why didn't I think about that? It was so obvious. He thought. He finished his dinner and went to his room. He then activated his quirk. Okay, 5%. He felt no pain. 10%, he felt an immense stinging. Better be safe and stick with 9%, he thought. Time skip. The next morning, Izuku woke up and got ready for school. He made breakfast and saw a note on the table saying that you had gone to work. He shrugged it off and ate breakfast and went to school. As he left the apartment, he saw All Might waiting outside his apartment. "Oh, Midoriya, I thought you were in this room," he said, pointing to Izuku's room. "Oh yeah, I am. I mean, I was, but anyway, it doesn't matter. Why are you here?" Izuku asked. "Midoriya, I need you to give me back one for All Might said." "But you said..." "I know what I said, but my old sidekick found another worthy successor, and he shows more promise, so I'll need that quirk now." "Great, someone else that has given up on me. I'll add it to my F collection." Izuku said, "What? Let's make a deal. I get to keep one for All if I come in first place in the sports festival. If I don't, I'll give it back. I'll even give it back if I come in second or third." Izuku said confidently. All Might stood there stunned at what Izuku said. Either Izuku was really brave or insanely dumb. They both agreed to the terms and shook hands, and Izuku walked stop school. Time skip. Arrival at UA. He sat in class as Aizawa explained that at the sports festival. After class, Kirishima exclaimed how pumped he was for the festival. Man, who do you think is gonna win? Kirishima said, I think I got a pretty good shot. Kaminari said, yeah, if you don't short circuit. Jiro said smugly, whatever happens, Deku will come last. He won't even make through the obstacle race. Mocked 𝗵𝗃𝗁 laughed at his own remark, while others didn't say anything. You know Kaken no 𝗵𝗃𝗁. The fact that you spend all your time thinking about the person you hate proves you aren't straight. Izuku said boldly. Everyone went dead silent. Did Midoriya just stand up for himself? Against 𝗵𝗃𝗁 of all people? Everyone thought. What did you say? 𝗵𝗃𝗁 yelled in anger. His face was as red as a tomato due to embarrassment. You heard me, 𝗬𝗏. Izuku said boldly. He called you a gay 𝗬𝗏. Kaminari laughed. 𝗵𝗃𝗁 took a swing at Izuku, but Izuku caught his hand. Again with the right hook. I thought I told you about that. Izuku said. He then flung 𝗵𝗃𝗁 to the floor and looked at everyone. I don't have time to be weak. If I'm gonna win the sports festival, after all, I made a promise to someone that I'd win. He said, glaring at his classmates. Everyone was shocked at what just happened. However, Uraraka was agitated. Who did he make that promise to? She said angrily. Aizawa then came back to class and saw 𝗵𝗃𝗁 on the floor. Care to explain, Midoriya? Aizawa said, it was self-defense. Izuku said. Aizawa shrugged it off and began the lesson again. Time skip. End of class. As you all know, the sports festival is tomorrow, so make sure you guys are prepared for it. Whoever chooses you will determine what your future hero career is going to be like. So make sure you guys don't screw up. Aizawa said as he zipped up his sleeping bag and went to sleep. As class ended, Izuku stood up and walked out of class. His classmates stared at each other after he left. Hey guys, when did Midoriya get so cool? Kirishima said. He's not cool. He's a total loser. 𝗵𝗃𝗁 yelled, oh, is this another? It's not that I like you or anything, baka. Moment, Kaminari said while smirking, which led to him being punched in the face. Nah man, he's totally different now. I mean, when I first saw him I thought he was shy or unmanly, but now he's so different. Kirishima said. He said something about a promise. So maybe that's it. Jiro said, oh, a girl perhaps. Mina said. Uraraka tensed up after that and walked out of class. What's wrong with him? Uraraka thought. Time skip. Izuku gets home. As Izuku walked to the apartment door, he put his hand on the door handle and tried to turn it. But it was to no avail because the door was locked. He knocked a few times but no answer. So he just sat by the door and waited. He began to read through his school notes. A few minutes go by and it had begun for rain. And due to the roof of the building not being wide enough, most of the rain got in. Time skip. An hour. Where was she? Izuku thought. Izuku was now soaking wet. He was preventing his bag and his notes by getting wet by covering, but he got soaked because of this. Izuku. A voice called out. He turned his head. It was you. You looked at him for a few seconds, then she realized what happened. Oh, sorry, I forgot to give you a key. You see, I came back after you left for school and I locked the apartment door. I'm so sorry. She said, unlocking the door. She then opened the door and let Izuku in. Alright, go get changed and take a shower. You said, as she took his bag to the desk. Izuku went to the bathroom and then started to take a bath. As this was happening, you saw an old shabby-looking copy in Izuku's bag. Out of curiosity, she opened it and saw it was a hero journal. She read through a few heroes. A few comments on the heroes made you snicker. Death Arms. Although he has the brawn, he seems to lack the brains. Haha, that's too accurate. You laughed. Kamui Woods. He is never seen to be fight minor criminals. He seems to be only in it for the spotlight. Why are these so accurate? Wait, let me see if I'm on this, she said, flicking the pages. She then kept flicking pages until she saw her own page. Lady. Although she seems to be in it for the spotlight, I don't think so. Sure, she might exploit the paparazzi sometimes, but with her quirk she's bound to cause some destruction, so she obviously lacking financially, so she's seen working more and more to pay for the damages she causes. Which I think makes a great hero. Wow, I would have thought he would have called me a fake. You said, smiling. She decided to close the book and put it back in his bag when she noticed that it read number 13. He has 12 others of these, she thought. Wow, he's such a fanboy of heroes. She smirked. She then heard the bathroom door open. She proceeded to put back the copy in the bag. Izuku walked out with a black tank top on with some gray shorts on. Thanks for letting me use the shower, Yu, Izuku said. Oh, it's no problem since it's my fault. Yu said. So how was school today? Yu asked. Well, it was certainly different today as I threw my old friend on the floor. Izuku said. Wait, what? Yu said. Well, I put on a little confidence act and at the heat of the moment, I kinda threw him on the ground. I also called him by his real name instead of his nickname. Izuku said. Wait, stop, I'm confused. You called him your old friend, so you two aren't friends anymore, so why is calling him by his real name an issue? Yu asked. Well, it's a long story, but I've always called him Kaken because I wanted to show him that I'm not weak and will never back down from his torment or give up. Izuku said. So you still want to be friends with him? Yu asked. Yeah, I guess I do, Izuku said. Well, tomorrow don't apologize. Just keep being confident in yourself. Instead of staying behind him, run past him. And then he might see you as a strong person, Yu said. Izuku smiled at that. Yeah, I hope so. He said the next day Class 1A was waiting in a room for the sports festival to begin. As they waited, Izuku was sitting on his own when Uraraka approached him. Hey Deku, you nervous? She asked as she sat next to him. Well, not exactly, I have to win this, everything depends on it, Izuku said. Oh really, is it that promise you mentioned before? She asked. Yeah, Izuku said. Uraraka leaned in closer. I really hope you win. She said. Didn't she say I wasn't good enough before? Izuku thought with a blush across his face due to the closeness of Uraraka. What are you doing? Todoroki said. Uraraka looked at him. Oh, we're just friends. She said. Well, you two were dating, so it makes me uncomfortable seeing you both like this. Todoroki said. Todoroki then diverted his gaze towards Izuku. Hey Midoriya, just because you promised someone you'd win, doesn't mean you will. Because some of us can control our quirks, so you can consider this a declaration of war when I say I'm gonna win this. Izuku stood up and stared him in the eyes. Kirishima stepped in and tried to ease the tension. Hey man, you don't gotta respond to that, he said, looking at Izuku. Todoroki, you claim I can't control my quirk, but yet you have never once used your left side ever. So before you try to declare war, I'm just letting you I won't hold back at all, he said, giving off a death glare. Everyone's eyes shot open at that moment. Everyone tensed up after that, even Bakugo. This was gonna be an intense sports festival to say the least, everyone thought. As Class 1A went outside and saw the other classes. Midnight was presenting the sports festival. Okay, future heroes, for our first round in the sports festival, we'll be having an obstacle race, she said, flailing her WHP around. As Izuku walked over to where the others were gathered for the race, he noticed that it was packed with students. Oh great, pretty much everyone got here before me, Izuku said with despair. Oh hey Deku, you ready for this obstacle course? Uraraka chimed in. Oh yeah, what about you? Izuku said. Oh yeah, I'm super pumped, she said. Izuku got ready for the start of the race. Okay, ready, set, you. Present, Mike said on the mic. As it started, all the students began to run until they were approached by giant robots. Whoa, those things are huge, Kirishima exclaimed. Todoroki instantly froze the robots and ran ahead. Then a few others ran ahead after him. Izuku then readied up. Okay, I'm still not completely sure if this will work, but if I'm able to spread one for all around my body equally, he thought. He then began full cowling at 9%. It worked. Thanks you for the help, Izuku thought while smiling. Bakugo then blew up a robot which caused pieces of it everywhere. Izuku then caught a piece and he then dashed ahead past Todoroki. Midoriya. When can he do that? Todoroki thought. What the hell are you 𝗵𝗲𝗄? Bakugo yelled as this was happening. Yu was watching from outside the stadium. Come on Izuku. You're doing great, she thought. We are supposed to be guarding this place. Stop watching the TV and do your job. Kamui said. Oh don't worry Kamui, you're wearing a mask so you can use your quirk all you want. You said. Kamui Woods looked down. He couldn't even respond to that. Izuku kept running ahead. Even though he was running low on energy, he ran as fast as he could. When he reached the next area, he barely leaped over the tight-ropes while carrying the metal piece. As he reached the final part of the race, he noticed there was nothing there. Oh no! Looks like young Midoriya has stumbled upon the final part of the race. A minefield. Present Mike yelled. A minefield? Well, good thing I grabbed this metal piece when I did. Izuku thought. As he took off the metal piece, he was then hit with a blast to the face. That's what you get for thinking you could win. Bakugo said while Deku was on the floor. Bakugo then flew off with explosions as Izuku sat up. His foot was then frozen in ice. He looked up and saw Todoroki. A promise doesn't mean anything if you're gonna lose, Todoroki said. He then ran off to catch up with Bakugo. Izuku sat there with his leg frozen. If he didn't do something quick, his leg would get frostbite. He tried to reach the metal piece, but it was just out of reach. He thought about using his quirk, but that would only blow off his leg. Izuku started to despair. Well, I guess I really am pathetic. I couldn't even pass the obstacle course. Flashback. So promise me you'll win the sports festival. You said flashback over, and I won't let her down. I can't bear having someone give up on me again. Izuku thought. Izuku clenched his fist and raised his hand. He then punched the ice as hard as he could. The ice began to crack. Izuku had damaged his hand because of that. He has kept punching the ice until it broke. His knuckles were gushing with blood. Izuku. You thought while covering her mouth in shock. Izuku then began digging up the bombs. A few others had passed him out. He then pulled the up and used the door to blast himself to first place. Dikyu. Bakugo yelled, Midoriya. Todoroki yelled. Izuku then slammed the metal piece on the floor, causing another explosion. As the audience waited for someone to cross the finish line, and when Izuku crossed the line first, the audience cheered. You did it. You said quietly. Izuku walked off while holding his hand in pain. A few teachers then escorted him to Recovery Girl. Time skip. My boy, what are you thinking? Your knuckle was smashed to pieces. Recovery Girl said angrily, sorry. Izuku said, well, I can't say you're not determined to win this, that's for sure. Recovery Girl said. Time skip. Izuku came back to the arena with his arm bandaged up. Okay, for our next course of the sports festival is cavalry battle. For this course you'll be assigned the points you got in the obstacle course, and your team will have a sum of all the points earned. So young Midoriya, who came in first place, is assigned 10 million points, Midnight exclaimed. Ah, so that's how it is, Izuku thought nervously. Izuku then felt menacing glares surrounding him. This is not gonna be easy, Izuku thought. Izuku was disappointed after the cavalry battle. He was glad he got through it because of Tokoyami, but he was still dissatisfied by not keeping the 10 million points. As the matchup for the tournament were decided, Uraraka went up to Izuku. I need to talk with you, privately. She said. Izuku only nodded and met him secretly from others. What is it you wanted? Izuku said, well, Deku, I want to apologize for what I said about you not being good enough. Izuku's eyes shot open. Well, I didn't know what I should have said at the time, but I know I was wrong, Uraraka said. Why don't you say what I did wrong? Izuku asked. I can't, she said. Izuku said. Uraraka clenched her fist while looking down. How about you come in first place and I'll tell you? Just tell me now. Do it for me. Please. Fine, I was aiming to win this anyway. Uraraka then walked off. Izuku then heard footsteps. He turned around but no one was there. He was about to walk away when Todoroki came around the corner. Oh, Todoroki, it was you. Izuku said, it was me. Todoroki thought, but then he shrugged it off. What were you doing with Uraraka? He asked. Just talking. Why? Well, first you team up with her in the cavalry battle and now you two meet in private. Todoroki said, hey, it's not like that. Then what's it like? We're just friends, Izuku said. Todoroki didn't even respond to that. Hey, I've got a question for you. Are you related to All Might in any way? Todoroki said coldly. Izuku thought. Izuku then chuckled a bit. You think I'm related to All Might? That All Might? Number one hero. How don't make me laugh. Todoroki was shocked. He thought Izuku loved All Might. Well, even so, he never knew anyone who hated All Might. Izuku walked off as his battle with Shinso was about to begin. Time skip. "Hey Mount Lady, you seem kind of sad," Shinji said. "Oh, it's nothing," she said, while looking at the TV. "Well, I'm here for you." Before he could even finish, she was looking at him with murderous intent. "Never mind," you said. Meanwhile, back to Izuku. Izuku walked onto the stage and saw Shinso. Izuku started to walk towards him. "You're approaching me. Instead of running away, you're coming right towards me." Shinso said, "I can't beat you." Izuku then froze before he even finished his sentence. "But now walk out of the arena." Shinso said. Izuku started walking away. "What am I doing?" Izuku thought. He then saw a group of shadowy figures staring at him. Were they here the whole time? Spooky. Izuku thought as he got cold shivers and down his spine. Midoriya? One of the figures spoke. A female with brunette hair emerged from the darkness. "My name is Nana Shimura. I was the previous successor of One for All before Toshinori." "Wait, One for All? Toshinori? Am I dead? Wait, I'm so confused." Izuku thought, "Don't worry about it, Midoriya. You can see me as we are part of OFA. We were once the previous holders of OFA, so technically we are part of the quirk." "Wait, how come she's here?" Izuku thought. "Well, I'm here to get you to snap out of it. You've already got someone that believes in you, so don't let her down." Izuku then without hesitation used OFA and smashed the floor. He had broken free from Shinso's quirk. He clenched his fist and looked at Shinso. "Hey, how'd you do that?" Shinso said. Izuku didn't say anything. "Huh? But it doesn't matter. Your quirk breaks your body, right? So your fingers should be broken." He said. He glanced at Izuku's fingers, but they were fine. How did you do that?" Shinso said as he threw a fist at Izuku. "My whole life people have called me a villain because of my quirk. I finally get the chance to prove them all wrong if I win this," Shinso said as he threw another lunge at Izuku, but Izuku grabbed him by his shirt and threw him out of the arena. Midoriya wins. Midnight declared. Izuku then put his hand down at Shinso and offered to lift him up. "Thanks for that, Shinso. Thanks. I tried to get you walk off stage without actually fighting. It was insanely cowardly. No, that's an amazing quirk. It helped me realize that there's one person important in my life that I absolutely cannot let down. Still, you have an amazing quirk, so can we be friends?" Izuku said, still holding out his hand. Shinso smiled. "You sound insane right now. You want to be friends with someone like me?" Shinso laughed. He then grabbed Izuku's hand and stood up. "Well, I don't know your story, but you said something about winning for someone special. Well, make that two people because I'll be cheering for you." Shinso said. Shinso then walked off to his class. Izuku also walked off to his class. As he was walking back, still was thinking about what happened back there with Nana. Izuku sat in the waiting room as the other fights continued. Most of the fights were over. Izuku's next fight was with Todoroki. Izuku was walking outside to the arena. He met Endeavor waiting for him. "What is your connection to All Might?" He immediately asked, "What is this feeling of deja vu?" Izuku thought, "I don't want or have any relationship with that All Might." "Don't play dumb, your quirks are so similar." Izuku simply ignored him and walked out to the arena. Izuku met Shoto there, and now a heated battle between classmates, Todoroki versus Midoriya. Present Mike called out. Todoroki started off by launching line of ice at Izuku. Izuku smashed the ice however with OFA. "Ah, so I was right. I noticed that your fingers didn't break in your battle against Shinso. You've gotten to control your quirk a bit more. I guess an old dog can learn new tricks after all," Todoroki said. "At least I'm using my quirk." Izuku said, "I am using my quirk, but I chose not to use my father's." Todoroki said, angered at Izuku's comment. "You are a walking contradiction. You claim your fire quirk is your father's, but you claim your mother's quirk as your own." Izuku clenched his fist while looking at Shoto. "I really despise people like you." Izuku said. Shoto's eyes shot open. "People like you are born with two quirks and don't use them, while as there are people out there who aren't born with quirks who get outcasted by society and get treated like quirklessness is some sort of disease." Izuku said, "Shut up. You don't understand me. You don't understand me at all. You don't know anything about suffering. Are you kidding me? Have you ever felt so useless in your life that you thought of ending your life? Have you ever had people give up on you because you're not good enough? Or have the last ray of hope be taken away from you?" Izuku yelled on the verge of tears. Meanwhile, Dsummin, these kids aren't fighting at all. How boring. Shinji said. He looked over at Mount Lady. "Hey Mount Lady. You okay?" Shinji asked, however his concern landed on deaf ears as Mount Lady didn't respond. She only had thoughts of concern running around her mind about how Izuku basically admitted to having thought about ending his life. Meanwhile the argument was over and the two were attacking each other head on. Todoroki shot an ice attack at Izuku which Izuku smashed. The stinging feeling was beginning to hurt in his hands. He needed to end this quickly. Your breaths are getting heavier, Todoroki. You'll lose if this continues. Uraraka may lose interest in you if you don't use your fire. Izuku said, I'm not using my father's quirk. Todoroki said, again with that CR. It's your quirk, Todoroki. Not his. Izuku yelled. Todoroki was shocked. He had remembered All Might's words. Remember kids, there is no such thing as an evil quirk, just the ways you can use a quirk. With that Todoroki's left side lit up in flames. The round then resumed and Todoroki unleashed a fire and ice combination attack and Izuku fired a 100% Delaware smash which resulted in a huge explosion in the arena. A few minutes go by and the smoke from the clash cleared and Todoroki was revealed to be out of bounds while as Izuku was standing covered in BLD and burns. Ladies and gentlemen, Midoriya wins. And he proceeds to climb the ranks. Midnight exclaimed. However Izuku displayed no response at all. It then revealed that Izuku was unconscious while standing. Something like, but with like Burns' medical staff at UA eventually had to take him to the medical room. Midoriya shall continue to the next round, however if he does not wake up the round will be given to his opponent. Midnight exclaimed to the crowd meanwhile, hey Mount Lady, you okay? You're kind of shaking. Kamui Wood said, oh it's just our excitement from how powerful the new students are. You lied as naturally as she breathed. Well, it wasn't a lie, but that obviously was not the reason she was shaking. Time skip. Izuku woke in a bed he was far too familiar with, a hospital bed. Hey, you're finally awake. Recover Girl said, what? Izuku said, you got unconscious during your last squabble between that Todoroki boy and suffered severe injuries. Did I win? Izuku asked, why yes you won. Recovery Girl said, you need to rest, your next match is up soon. I would recommend get some rest but nobody listens to me anyways, Recovery Girl said as she was about to leave the room. Wait, did a blonde woman stop by earlier? Izuku asked, no, only a few classmates stopped by, Recovery Girl said, ah okay. Izuku said a bit disappointed. Recovery Girl then left. Izuku sat up. He didn't remember his fight at all. Are you wondering what happened, young Midoriya? A familiar voice called out. Izuku turned around only to see Nana sitting behind him. Nana. Why are you here? Izuku panicked. Calm down Izuku, only you can see me, so if they see you talking to me they'll think you're crazy, Nana said. Wait, so you're like a stand or something? Izuku said, well I can't move objects physically but I can interact with you physically. Nana said, wait how? Do you what The manga was out in my time, Nana said. Ah what? Anyway never mind, you were only in my mind before, why are you here? Izuku said, well you actually have gained more control over your quirk, Nana said smugly. So what happened in the last match? Izuku asked. Well you were knocked unconscious but me and the other hosts of OFA were able to prevent you from losing, Nana said. Wait, so? I didn't win with my own strength, Izuku said sadly. Well, sort of. I mean we were only able because you've progressed this much, Nana said. Still, I wanted to win by myself with my own strength, Izuku said. Nana then stood in front of Izuku and looked him in the eyes. Izuku, you don't have to carry the burden alone. Sometimes it's okay to get help from friends and from what I've seen, you need the most. Nana said. She then put her fingers on his face and stretched his frown into a smile. Now your match is starting soon, so go beyond plus ultra. Nana said with a smile which in turn made Izuku smile. Izuku stood up and thanked Nana and left for his next match. That kid's gonna go places. Tashinori, what were you thinking? Nana said to herself while lying down on the bed. Izuku had walked out to the arena. There he saw the blonde-haired Pomeranian waiting for him. Don't think just because you beat Icy Hot you can beat me. He yelled. Izuku didn't even respond. You've gone quiet on me. You must be shivering in your boots right now. Izuku still gave no response. No wonder round face left you. He yelled. Do you ever get tired of this act? Izuku asked. Bakugo said, like does it not get repetitive? constantly berating and harassing your opponent because you think you're better than them, not very heroic if you ask me. Izuku said. Bakugo then charged at Izuku and swung a right hook at him. He instantly realized his mistake when Izuku then grabbed him and flung him to the floor. If Deku. He yelled, "You don't seem to learn either." Izuku said, "How dare you?" He got up and landed a punch on Izuku's stomach. Izuku got winded because of this. See? No matter how much you try to change, you'll always be the same old useless Deku. Bakugo said. He then started to repeatedly beat Izuku by using his quirk to singe and burn him. Izuku then did a 5% Delaware smash which sent Bakugo across the arena. Looks like young Midoriya is in trouble. Present Mike yelled on speaked, "I'm gonna finish this right now." Bakugo yelled, "No, I'm going to finish this." Izuku said, readying his full cowling. The two charged at each other and exchanged blows. Izuku landed a Oklahoma smash on Bakugo's face, while as Bakugo's had landed an explosion on Izuku. As the both struck each other, a huge shockwave covered the two. "Oh man, we can't see a thing." Present Mike exclaimed as the smoke cleared. Bakugo was seen in the arena with a lot of bone fractures and some broken, while as Izuku was outside of the arena. Izuku stood up and immediately caught on as to what happened. "No way. I lost." Izuku thought in despair. Bakugo then stood up and started gloating, but Izuku wasn't listening. "How could I lose?" Izuku thought at the verge of tears. "God, I really am pathetic. I guess I really am not good enough." Izuku thought time skip. As the award started, All Might arrived to give them out. Todoroki came in 3rd place, Izuku came in 2nd place, and Bakugo had came in 1st place. All Might gave the medal to Todoroki and the came to Izuku. "Congratulations, you Midoriya." All Might boomed. "I'll come to get the quirk later, as that was the deal we agreed upon." He whispered. Izuku's eyes shot open. He didn't even pay attention to the rest of the award ceremony due to this time skip. Izuku arrived at Yu's apartment room. He knocked on the door. He heard some rumbling around in the room. He knocked again. She then opened the door. "Oh, Izuku, congra," she said. "I don't want your pity." Izuku yelled, "Izuku, I just wanted—" What were you trying to do? What could you possibly do to help?" Izuku yelled. Yu was so shocked she couldn't even respond. An awkward silence occurred after Izuku walked up to the rooftop to pass some time. As he arrived at the rooftop, he regretted how he treated Yu. "I shouldn't have said that to her. I was just so frustrated. Well, she probably doesn't want anything to do with me anymore." He thought. He then tried to converse with Nana. "Hey Nana." Izuku said. Nana popped out. "Yes, Midoriya?" She said, "If say, hypothetically a user of OFA was to pass away, what would happen to the current user?" Izuku asked. "I guess the ability to pass on the quirk would return to the previous user, but not the actual quirk itself." Nana said. Izuku then walked to the edge of the rooftop. "That's perfect." He said, "Hey wait Izuku, calm down. Whatever you're thinking, just slow down and think about this." Nana says, "I have thought about it every single day of my life. About how no one would miss a quirkless loser like myself. I've had these thoughts basically my whole life. And they eventually stopped, but now I'm hearing them again." Izuku yelled. Nana tried to grab Izuku, but it was to no avail. Her hand just simply phased through. He then readied himself to jump. Meanwhile, a few minutes before, Yu was sitting on the floor by the door with her hands around her legs. "That idiot." You thought. He's obviously angry about not coming first, but why? He has never acted like that once before, so what's up with him? Yu then stood up and got dressed in her hero costume and headed outside. As she walked outside the apartment building, he heard a faint voice from the rooftop. She looked up and saw someone up there. "Wait, is that Izuku?" You thought. You didn't even hesitate, and she used her quirk. As Izuku fell, he landed on a soft ground. He opened his eyes and saw that Mount Lady had saved him. She then put him back on the roof and joined him there. "Why did you save me?" Izuku yelled. "What kind of stupid question is that? Don't just throw away your life, you idiot." Mount Lady yelled. But her face had tears streaming down her face. "Why does it even matter to you?" Izuku yelled. Mount Lady then took off her mask. "Because I love you." You yelled. "You're Mount Lady." Izuku said. Yu then put her head to Izuku's chest while clenching his shirt. "You mean the world to me. I can't live without you. Please don't think about ending your life," Yu said. Tears were now streaming down her face as if there was no tomorrow. Izuku put his hand on her head while she cried into his shirt. I'm sorry I'm sorry for everything, I'm sorry about treating you badly earlier. And also about what I was going to do, Izuku said. Just promise me, you'll never try something like that ever again. Yu said, yeah, I'm sorry, I'm just tired of everything going wrong in my life. I thought if I tried I could be happy, but in the end, I was just an idiot for thinking like that. Izuku said, you're not an idiot, you're amazing. When we first met, you saved me from something that could have ruined me completely. You risked your life for me even though my boyfriend was a pro hero. He didn't even think about helping me, you said with a smile but still with teary eyes. I wish everyone thought the same as you, Izuku said sadly. You noticed Izuku's remorseful face and directly in his emerald eyes. Why don't we go inside and you can tell me the full story about what happened? You said after Izuku told you about everything. He told her about 𝗏𝗏, about All Might, about Uraraka, everything. Izuku, don't worry about it, it's not your fault, Izuku said. But still, how could All Might do that to you? You said while folding her arms. Yeah, maybe he said he found someone better, Izuku said, but there's no one better than you. You said. Izuku smiled at her remark. There then was a knock on the door. Izuku was about to get up, but you stood up before. Don't worry, I'll get it, you said. She then walked over and opened the door. It was All Might. Oh, Mount Lady. Sorry, I must have the wrong room. All Might said, no you don't. Izuku is inside. You said, Izuku. Why is he? All Might asked, he told me everything. How could you? You call yourself #1 hero but you gave up on Izuku. You said with anger. Ah, so he told you. We had agreed on a deal, he lost so he'll give it over. All Might said. Izuku then stepped out. It's fine, I was never cut out to be a hero. Izuku said with a sad tone. However, you stopped him from walking out the door. Why are you giving up on him? He's got a heart of gold and of a true hero. You know he's great enough already. So why are you giving up on him? You yelled, because I was scared. All Might retorted, scared. Izuku and you thought. All Might then sighed. Look, a few months ago I was following a case about All for One. We were finally getting close to tracking him down, but he contacted me and told me that he would eliminate my successor if I kept tracking him down. All Might said. So you wanted to give 𝗏𝗏 to someone who already had power? Izuku asked in shock. All Might only nodded yes. You then slapped All Might on the cheek. You did all that for something so trivial. You said, your decision almost drove Izuku to suicide. You said with tears in her eyes. All Might's head jolted up and looked at Izuku. Izuku avoided eye contact with him. All Might then kneeled down and bowed his head and apologized frantically. I'm sorry. I just didn't want to lose you. I was wrong. I just wanted to protect you against AFO. He's already taken too much from me. All Might with tears streaming down his face. Izuku then put his hand on All Might's shoulder. I can't bring myself to hate you, but I also can't bring myself to forgive you. Izuku said. He then walked back into the apartment room and you closed the door. Izuku sat down on Yu's bed and you sat next to him. I got to keep my quirk, Izuku said. Well, if All Might took your quirk, wouldn't he only take the power to pass down a quirk, not the quirks of the previous users? You said, well, I haven't actually mastered those quirks yet and I could only talk to them if I had 𝗏𝗏. Izuku said, him and 𝗏𝗏 is one hell of a confusing quirk. You thought, hey you? Izuku asked what? You asked what did you mean by, I love you, earlier. Izuku asked you then remembered her, confession of sorts. A blush then flushed across her face. Izuku then got closer. Do you want to go out with me? Izuku asked bluntly. You said of course she wanted to date him, but she only had one thought on her mind right now which was preventing her answer. Why he is so close. You frantically thought. Izuku asked while getting even closer. Why and yes I love you, you said with a huge blush. Oh, really? Izuku said with a blush, now realizing what she said. What about you? Do you love me? You asked with hopeful eyes. Well, yes I do. So will you be my girlfriend? Izuku asked. Yes I will. I was expecting you to say no. I'm so happy. You said. Izuku then rubbed the back of his head. So what do I do? Izuku asked. You asked while tilting her head. Well, do I stay in the spare room or? Izuku subtly asked. It took you 5 minutes to realize what he was suggesting. Well, we only started dating us, so I don't know if we should rush. Yu stuttered with a huge blush while flailing her arms to the left and right. You're right, sorry. I'm not really sure what to do in this scenario. Izuku said, also with a huge blush. Izuku then went to bed in the spare room and tried to go to sleep. Yu also tried to get some sleep. They tried but did not succeed. Time skip. The next morning Izuku woke up with bags under his eyes. He went to the kitchen to get some breakfast. Yu then walked in and saw him making breakfast. Good morning, Aizu, Yu said while putting both her hands around Izuku's back. Aizu. Izuku asked, well, yeah, I was just thinking how we could do like nicknames, you know, like a couple or something. Never mind, it's stupid. Yu said while getting quieter. Izuku then grabbed her by the hand. That's cute. Izuku yelled. Yu then immediately pushed him back lightly. Stop that, it's embarrassing, she said while blushing. Izuku then finished making breakfast. As the two ate breakfast, Izuku asked a question. Since you are Mount Lady, will you be doing internships? Yeah, I'm deciding on 2 students. 2. Who are they? Izuku asked. Well, you of course. And another student named Mineta. Yu said. Mineta. Izuku said loudly while standing up. Is there a problem? Yu asked. I'm sorry, but Mineta is very perverted. Izuku said. Was that right? Yu said, yeah, I just don't want a guy like that around you. Izuku said while embarrassed. You're cute when you're jealous. Yu said while smiling. So I guess I'll reassign him to someone else at Kamuyui's agency. You might want to start leaving to go to school, Yu suggested. Izuku then packed his stuff and went to the door. As he was leaving, he kissed Yu on the cheek and left. Izuku opened the door to Class 1A and saw that most of his classmates arrived before him. Hey Deku, congrats on coming in 2nd place. Uraraka beamed. Oh, thanks. Izuku beamed back. This caught everyone by surprise. They all knew that Izuku wanted to win no matter what. During the festival, Izuku acted like a totally different person. But now it seems he's back to his old happy self. Okay class, you've been sent some nominations for internships by some pro heroes. Make sure you pick someone who'll benefit your hero career for the future. Aizawa said as he zipped up his sleeping bag and went to sleep. Izuku opened his letter of recommendations and there was a lot. A lot more than he expected. Deku, how'd you get more recommendations than me? Bakugo screamed. Izuku just ignored him and read through his recommendations, and there he saw it. A recommendation from Mount Lady. Izuku didn't even hesitate as he put her down as his first choice. Mount Lady. Kaminari said while leaning over Izuku's shoulder. Oh yeah. What's the issue? Izuku asked, surprised by Kaminari was behind him. Well, like, shouldn't you be aiming for someone in the big leagues? I mean, you got all those recommendations. Surely you got someone better in that list. Kaminari inquired. Well, I feel that working with Mount Lady at the Kamuyui's agency would benefit me greatly, as it's mainly for new upcoming heroes who want to make a name for themselves. Izuku lied as naturally as he breathed. Alright dude. You're really good when it comes to this sort of thing. Kaminari said. How come Mount Lady picked Midoriya but not me? Mineta said. Time skip. Izuku patiently waited outside Kamuyui's agency. Hello Deku. Mount Lady said. Oh, hi Mount Lady, Izuku said. Okay, first I'll show you around the agency, then we'll do some patrol around the area. You said, I understand. Izuku said. You started showing Izuku around. When they finally reached somewhere secluded, he asked her, Hey Yu, is it okay to work with your ex, you know, after what he did? Izuku asked. You took a deep sigh. Don't worry, I feel nothing for him anymore, and don't worry, I'm only staying here until I've enough to start my own agency. You said, but don't worry, I'm not going to be getting back with that scumbag anytime soon. Don't worry about it, you said. As she finished, they embraced Izuku with a passionate kiss. You then broke the kiss. Believe me now, she said. Yeah, Izuku said as the sudden kiss had taken him by surprise. We better start heading back now, you said. The two then finished the tour and then started patrolling around the city. Hey Mount Lady, are you hungry? Izuku asked. No, I'm not, you said, but then her stomach let out an echoing growl. You then nodded yes in clear embarrassment. They stopped by a small empty cafe to get something to eat and drink. Hey Mount Lady, You said something about starting your own agency earlier, is that what you want to do? Izuku asked. Well, in order to start your own agency you need a very good public image with the public. It also costs a lot by a building for your own agency, Mount Lady said, so 𝗵𝗵𝗲 started one as he had the highest rate of supporters. We all chipped in to afford a building. But it's always been my dream to have my own agency. Mount Lady said while looking down at her cup of coffee. Sorry I kind of rambled on. No, it's fine, I think you'd be great at having your own agency. Izuku said, I mean you're a good hero despite being very young and well you're also very appealing. So I think you'd get enough support from the public. Izuku smiled. Oh, if only it was that easy, Aizu. You see, with my quirk I cause a lot of property damage. So usually all the money I earn goes to repairs, so I don't earn enough. And besides I'm pretty much just backup for this agency. You said, that doesn't matter. You're risking your life for everyone when you're a hero. And that's good enough for it. Izuku said. Aizu, don't worry about it. It's just a stupid dream that'll never be part of reality, you said with a fake smile. Izuku then grabbed her hand with both of his hands and came closer to her. I'll work hard and become the #1 hero, and when I've earned enough I'll see to it that you'll have your own agency. Izuku said. You lowered her hand. She then covers her face partially. No, she said. Izuku was shocked. Wasn't this her dream? He thought. You looked away while still covering her face partially. It won't be my dream without you in it, so it won't be my agency, it could be ours, you said with a huge blush streaming across her face. Izuku was stunned. She wanted to start an agency with him. Izuku thought frantically. Hey, say something, it's embarrassing. You said with a hint of frustration. Izuku then pulled her close, wrapped his arms around her waist and lifted her up. That sounds like a great idea. Izuku beamed. As he lowered her he pulled his face closer and kissed her. It was a short kiss as Izuku realized they were in public. Oh, sorry, I forgot we are in public, Izuku said, and no, it's fine. You said, we better head back on patrol. You said. They then both left the cafe and resumed patrol. What's with him, he's so bold. You thought frantically while placing her fingers on her lips. She could still feel the warmth of Izuku's lips on hers. Her heart was still pounding at rapid speed. I love you so much, Aizu, she thought.